Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Rufino's on Highland Road, welcome to the Friday edition Live at Lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro with us here.
How you doing, Charlie?
I'm doing good, man. Jordan Kitch is back in the studio. And
Jordan.
yeah, he's, understand they brought him a smorgasbord this morning, so they
He's still upset. Bougie Cross got upset as the number one seed in soccer.
Yeah,
You know.
you had to fill me in on that one. I was.
Like the original Holy Cross is kind of holding Mayo territory.
Gotcha.
The Bougie Cross is,
Okay,
kind of on the Bayou Lakeview.
A lot of college basketball, a lot of college baseball coming up this weekend. We'll get to a lot of that. Bruce Marshall's with us. Chris Macero's with us.
We've talked a lot, and for those who are a little bit tired of it, but man, it was so much fun, and it's historic. The hockey gold medal.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to hear Bruce, because Bruce is so good in placing things historically, and look, I mean, I want to hear what he has to say on that.
A lot of us can talk about 1980 because we were.
Yes.
Bruce might be able to talk about 1960, which is the
Squaw
only
Valley?
other one. Yeah, the only other gold medal for the men. He of all people.
Some people, I have heard some people say that was really, really big upset too.
It was. The only thing I really know about it is that Herb Brooks, the coach of the 80 team, was the last cut from the 60 team. And after the Americans won in 60, the Russians won in 64, 68, 72, and 76. So they didn't lose again in Olympic play until they got to Lake Placid. So, yeah, you're right. I'm sure
The Russians won 72.
64, 68, 72, 76. Yeah. And every one
They
of
were
those.
flat, man.
Every one of those.
They were flat that night, that Friday night, Charlie.
Every one of those guys would have been in the NHL, and a number of them would have been stars in the NHL.
Oh, that's fair to say.
But nobody could ever see him play if you weren't in a European country.
You can't duplicate that. You can't
No.
replicate. You can't. I mean, so just different time, but still.
was an unknown, too.
In our limited hockey knowledge, I could tell that the Canadians, man, they had stepped up their game for that gold medal. I mean, maybe not the second period, the third period. I mean, they had a few more shots on goal and quality shots on goal.
Yeah, let me give you maybe a basketball example that might resonate if you weren't around for the whole Cold War thing. 88 Olympics in Seoul, the basketball team beat the United States. The Soviet basketball team, the unified team, okay? But the Soviets beat. It was John Thompson was a coach.
Yes.
David Robinson,
he
Danny
was criticized
Manning.
for taking Charles Smith.
Yeah,
his own
David
player.
Robinson, Danny Manning was on that team,
Yeah.
and the Russians beat them. And it was the first time the Russians had ever beaten the United States in Olympic play that wasn't considered a cheat. They cheated them in 72 in Munich.
Oh, yeah, they got jobs.
Okay,
yeah.
but in
But it's still close enough to cheat them.
it was. But 88, they beat them straight. The United States did not have an outside shooter after Hersey Hawkins got hurt to bust the Russian zone, and the Russians had size. And we got to see for the first time, we'd heard about him. Dale Brown had even tried to recruit him, Arvydas Sabonis. Arvydas. Sabonis was considered one of the two or three best big men in the world, but nobody could confirm that because nobody ever got to see him. We got to see him in those Olympics, and he was one of the best big passing big men ever. He had touch. He had offensive skills. He was huge.
Just no knees.
Right. By the time he actually was allowed to get into the NBA, his body had broken down. But in 88, he was still in his prime.
We didn't see a whole lot of big men with that skill level.
Right. He reminded me a great deal of Bill Walton, and whose body also broke down.
He's better, I thought.
On it. No, he might have been. He might have been.
I thought he was just a big man, Larry Bird, to be honest. Maybe not quite the hops,
Great passing, great hands, touch, all that stuff.
Oh, no. sick is vision.
He wasn't a monster athlete. He was just a great basketball
No, his
player.
like sort of no look passes for a
Yeah.
big man, just sick, man.
So that was the basketball equivalent of it. Yeah, I'm like you. I mean, see what
Dale Brown. He was on Dale Brown's radar.
Oh, Dale tried to recruit him.
Yeah.
They weren't getting him out of Russia.
No, not Dale.
not even Dale could pull that one off, but they certainly tried.
McMahon could have.
Oh, stop.
I'm sorry.
I know.
I know.
Just stop.
I know.
Let me. Can I focus on something positive? The LSU women's team.
Yeah, because I got something to say about that.
I know you do, and that's why I want to leave.
What do you mean? You know I do. Why are you saying
We've been
that?
sitting next to each other for 30 years. I got an inkling when you want to talk about something, but. It was a close game in the first quarter. LSU started to pull away in the second quarter and really pulled away in the third and fourth quarter. Dominated the game in the second half. It was a 16-point win. Flau'Jae Johnson and one of three seniors who finished the regular season career. They're going to play in the NCAA tournament here, obviously. Flau'Jae, I thought a little bit like Malaysia Fulwiley against South Carolina, I thought was pressing because of the moment. She didn't have a monster offensive game or anything. She missed a bunch of shots. But in the end, who cares? They get the win. They secure the double bye in the SEC tournament. They win going away. This is the longest winning streak they've ever had against Tennessee since they started playing, and Kim Mulkey has yet to lose to them. Since she's been at LSU. So, nice win. Tigers finish up with the game on Sunday against Mississippi State. Then it's on to the postseason, 25-4. Mulkey, 5 years, 25 wins each of the 5 years, and that is the first time that has been done in the SEC. First, a coach coming in and winning 25 games in their first 5 years. So, nice win yesterday, full house. Early start because of the TV was a little bit of a hiccup for some people to get in there on time, but a big win and an emotional moment. And I know you know Izzy Bezelman, excuse me. I know you know her family, and it was a very emotional moment when she got on the court in the last minute, and I thought that was a cool
just
moment.
nice to be recognized.
Yeah,
that's all. Just nice to be recognized. It's
For those that don't know her story, she has a
rare heart condition.
It's a rare heart condition.
She can't play basketball,
but she's been on the team.
But she stayed on the team.
Yeah. And so,
so I mean, like it's going to be. And we were talking about it off the air. Like, how is you going to put her in? But she can't play. Like so, Mulkey finessed it about as good as she can. Just put her in, and allowed her to come off the court.
Yeah.
Just to be recognized
in the last minute,
which I thought was.
Yeah.
Now. Not everybody knows the whole story, so you got some losers on social media, but, it's social media. It's a cesspool.
No.
But it was just nice for her to be recognized. The other thing is, they've been there the whole time. A couple of seniors that have been with the same school, Charlie. How rare is that?
She and Johnson are the only leftovers from the national championship team. And that was 3 years ago. I get it, but yeah, you don't see them sticking around.
I saw the Flau'Jae video, like when she saw the shirts, the senior shirts and stuff. And
oh, okay.
Yeah, so just
Did you see the freshman video?
No,
this was cool.
So they when they at the end of the game, and I was at senior night last year for the gymnastics too, and they showed the video after, and this is where I'll let you kind of flex a little bit. They're really good at this, to do these type of things, and so I didn't see the video that they showed after. I mean, because you had to be there.
Okay, this was in about. I'd say midway the first quarter, maybe late in the first quarter, they showed a video that they had done with Flau'Jae her freshman year, and I'm pretty sure this was before she ever played a game. And they were talking about, what are your goals? And she says, well, I'd like to, I want to win a national championship, and I want to drop my first, music, I want to drop that first thing when we're getting ready to go to the Final Four, and I want to win a Grammy, and I want to have my own line of this, and eventually I want to own my own agency. And it was amazing how many of the things she had actually accomplished that she set out to do before she even played a game. So that was cool, the look back 4 years. She hadn't accomplished all of it yet, but she's well on her way to accomplishing most of the things on that
But
list.
she's also has that connection with her school. And you ever see these professional athletes when they do the side bets or Yamama? What do they do now when you go to 3 or 4 schools? I mean, you don't have that connection.
No.
And don't you? And, just so she's got that connection. She goes, I love LSU. I love that. She just I don't know. It's just, look, it is what it is. You get paid more to jump than to stay. That's at least what it seems. You follow the damn money. That's where the trend is. But just to not have, to still have that. So the other thing is from a basketball perspective. Why is Tennessee? You said Tennessee's Tennessee. No, they're not. And there ain't no way that Pat Summitt coach team gives up that many easy baskets.
No.
Okay, that's you want to start there. And when you have an inferior roster and you're just pushing the tempo, because they were hot. Tennessee's knocking down shots left and right. The other thing is Flau'Jae at the line. It's mental now. And we know about, when you're a competitor and she has thought about those 2 free throws against South Carolina. She's too competitive. She's too good.
Yeah.
And, and now in the one where she went 0 for 2 to make it 1 for 6 from the line. Charlie, she can't wait to get off the line. She is pulling up, and she's like just pulling out of there so quick. And I'm not Eddie Palubinskas by any stretch, but it's it's just a little bit of the yips right now. She's just uncomfortable at the line, and it's carried over for her. She's got time in a tournament, maybe early rounds, to kind of get it straight. And, she has been through it enough. I know she's putting up, she's putting the time in, she's practicing and, putting extra time at the line. But it's carried over, and she's uncomfortable right now. She's got, she is shooting it, and she's, getting off of the line, she can't wait to get off the line. It's almost if I was coaching her, I would say, hey, follow there and just stay. Just force yourself to stay on that line and finish the free throw right now.
Yeah.
So just technical thing, but anyway.
Let me say this about Kim Caldwell, the coach at Tennessee. This is the first time that they have gone outside of the Pat Summitt tree, the Tennessee family, to hire a coach. She's 37 years old. She had a monster year at Marshall that catapulted her into this job. She had spent 7 years at Glenville State with a 90% winning percentage in conference play. So she came credentialed, but she changed what it is that they do. And if you saw Mulkey going to halftime, she's like, "We're playing rec ball in here. That's what they force you to do because they're going to press the entire time." Okay, so
that's by design. Okay.
Yeah, they're going to press the entire game. They're going to shoot a ton of threes. They're going to get you into mayhem. And what you're hearing from the Tennessee faithful is, you're using a gimmick, and we don't need it. We're Tennessee.
Well, not only that, but sometimes
those
those teams will compromise easy buckets on the other end just to get you at their tempo. And it's, man, LSU had so many easy buckets.
We are Tennessee women's basketball, and we can line up and we can play you straight up and beat you because we've been doing it for 50 years.
Yeah.
And you're not one of us. It reminds me a little bit of when Bill Callahan went to Nebraska and tried to change the whole offense. And they're like, wait a minute.
I got a better
We
one.
don't do it here that way here.
Hal Mummy goes to Kentucky. Well, Kentucky's no good. They need a gimmick. Well, we'll just throw it around. We don't care. We lose. We're scoring a bunch of points.
Mm-hmm.
But, Mike Leach, that's great. But, that'll make you competitive to a point for a low expectation. But you can't bring those kind of coaches to a high expectation program.
Yeah.
Can't do it. And if they're forced, if one of the reasons was the revenue share, they took a little bit more from Tony Vitello, and that was one of the contributing reasons for him to leave. I still care about that women's basketball up at
a great deal, and she's looking a 500 record through 2 years in the conference phase.
It can't last.
Yeah,
but do they have any money?
I
know one thing: they didn't spend it on the Aguilar's representation. Because if they give it to Mars, he ain't losing.
Well, he didn't get the case, and they did.
They don't get their quarterback.
No,
there you go.
Don't for lunch.
Our appetizer features today: the eggplant Napoleon, crispy fried eggplant, savory crawfish cream sauce, and the shrimp egg rolls. That's right. You notice the Lenten season, the seafood theme to our features today over here at Rufino's. Shrimp egg rolls with the bang bang sauce and the Napa slaw. Entree features the fish chapatulas. We're going to ask Macero to spell that one, by the way. So barbecue butter, Gulf shrimp with the capellini. Suggested wine pairing is a Frank Family Chardonnay out of Napa. In the seared eye tuna, Jack Daniel and pineapple glaze. Okay, Chef Patrick, go ahead. Crawfish fried rice and the sautéed broccolini. Suggested wine pairing is a cake bread, Sauvignon Blanc out of Napa as well. So we do have Lenten options for this second Friday in Lent over here at Rufino's.
Live at Rufino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Man, we got to get the production to give Macero a big intro, huh? I mean, Colucci has one. Bruce Marshall has one. What we going to do with Macero, huh? I mean, show the man some respect.
Let me think some imaging.
Come on, Charlie.
Let's do some imaging, yeah.
Charlie's behind. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
How did that come my job?
Hey, if I get my own entrance music, I will sign a 3-year exclusive contract for ESPN 1045 Baton Rouge.
We don't need an exclusive, and I know that's a lie. You're no exclusive to anything. I know that. Don't fib. You like coming on a little bit too much all over. But anyway, hey, what were you thinking? What was your day like? Get up early. It was a challenge on the West Coast to get up early, but. Man, a hockey game was fun, man. It was fun, and we're novice at best. I mean, we don't grow up playing hockey around here. We don't play it. So, you growing up in Boston, man, that'd be awesome, huh?
Well, I will tip my cap to Bruce Marshall as he eloquently speaks on many different historic sporting events. He does it a lot more eloquently than me. But if you're going to talk about the 80s Olympic team, we have to go back to 4 of the players were from Massachusetts, Dave Silk from Scituate, Jack O'Callahan, Charlestown, Mike Eruzione from Winthrop, and my neighbor for about 20 years in the same neighborhood, 3 houses down, the Olympic goalie, Jim Craig. So a little bit of an expert
Jim Craig lived down the street.
Wow.
He lived down the street.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
three houses down. Interacted with Jim Craig a lot of my youth. And, it was really cool. That was always one of the things. I mean, most of the players were from Minnesota in the 80s, but there were 4 guys from Massachusetts. So Massachusetts always had that little bit of a grasp that the 80s team was kind of our little team. And obviously Eruzione with the goal in the game to beat the Russians. So, it's one of those things. He's been riding that forever. He's got a million sponsorships. I saw him over there he was on the shoulders dancing around, after the win. And, it was a great morning, and I was super tired, and I was going to the Celtics-Laker game that day, but I was in Las Vegas, so I had to get up, watch the hockey game, and then drive to L.A. to go to the Celtics game. So it was one of those things where I'm like, I really want to sleep in, but as soon as the alarm went off and as soon as that exciting goal by Boldy where he tips the puck up, I mean, you were awake and there was no chance of going back to bed. So I was a little sleep deprived for a couple of days, but just an unbelievable experience. I find myself jumping out of bed at like 7:45 when they scored the winning goal, screaming. I'm like hoping I'm not waking somebody else up in the hotel or whatever. But just a great game. I couldn't agree more. It was just a great experience. I'm glad I woke up to watch it.
Jim Craig, not quite the outgoing personality as maybe Eruzione. He kind of took, with all of the fanfare, just laid low a little bit, but he was the star. I mean, we all know that who lived through it. I mean, he was a star like the goalie was here in this one.
He played every minute in those Olympics.
Yeah.
The backup goalie who had started for Herb Brooks at Minnesota and won the national championship did not get 1 minute in Olympic play. His parents were pretty steamed about that. Even in the blowouts, and the U.S. had some blowouts, Craig played every minute in the pipes.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's get to some college basketball, and let's go. We got a good one tonight in the Big Ten. Big Ten is trickling these games out, man. Gave us a good one last night. West Lafayette, Michigan State came down to the last shot. A Sparty with the big upset on the road, anywhere from 6.5 to 7.5 dog there. Michigan 1.5 in Champaign. Chris.
Yeah, when this one popped out last night, I was surprised that Michigan was a pick. I played that pick. I played over 157.5. I think this is going to be an offensive shootout. You figure Michigan, the last two games, a little bit lackluster on the offensive end. Obviously, Duke with the better, one of the best defense, number one in KenPom defense in the country. You can understand that when they didn't shoot it well, but they didn't really shoot it great against Minnesota either. And I just figure after two kind of lackluster performances, Michigan's going to be on their A game tonight, and it works out pretty good because Illinois, not the greatest defense in the country, they're awesome on offense. And another issue, the only big problem I've had with Michigan all year, I've probably mentioned on this show, is they have the propensity to turn the ball over, but Illinois is last in the country in turning you over. So I expect Michigan to have a great offensive effort tonight. I like over in this game. I like Michigan to get the job done. I've also been fading the team in the Big Ten that goes to the West Coast, and on their trip back, the first game back, something is off with these teams. Like they just, they haven't experienced the time change. It's just been working all year. Worked a lot last year. Not every game, but it's an angle. If I like the other team in question, which I do in Michigan, it's a little extra that I like to fade the opposing team who's coming back from that West Coast trip.
One last undefeated team in college basketball. It's Miami, Ohio, out of the MAC. A lot of conversation because of their metrics are kind of the bubble range as far as the NET and everything. Can they survive a loss? The selection committee had their mock deal, and they had them projected to say lose to Akron in the final. Akron's got some pretty good metrics themselves, but it's a lot of conversation. They're 28-0 now on the road at Western Michigan here and laying 11.5.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to lay the 11.5, but I'll tell you, this Western Michigan team, anytime they play a team that's in the top 100, they've got their doors blown off. They lost 91-58 to Ohio State, 91-51 to Iowa. They've already lost to Miami of Ohio by 11 earlier this year. They played Akron twice, lost 104-89 and 90-73. They have 8 of their 9 wins are versus teams ranked 239th or higher. Their best win, coincidentally, was on Tuesday against Bowling Green. I don't think Miami of Ohio loses this game. You know what you can do, and some people like to do this, you take a nice big money line and you put it with another game you like so you don't have to lay the juice. And I'm gonna play a money line parlay with Miami of Ohio. You can find it anywhere around minus like 800. I'm going to put it with George Washington, who's just in a perfect spot tonight at home, 11-3 at home. Off that, they got Dayton coming in. Dayton off the perfect game they played against St. Louis, where they held the Billikens to 25% three-point shooting. Dayton shot it at 40% from three. Obviously Dayton has that big home court advantage there. I just feel like this is a perfect spot. Dayton is 4-5 on the road, going to G-Dub, who's been playing well at home. It's just a perfect situational spot. I'm going to pair those two together. You're basically laying like minus 110 at the high end, minus 120. Basically, in the horse racing terms, 6-5.
There you go. So George Washington, Miami, money line parlay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Dayton. I mean, my goodness. St. Louis. You look at the Atlantic 10 conference, and St. Louis is getting in a tournament. They're ranked or whatever, but 13-1 before that game. But Dayton, they were up 28 at one point. I mean, just lit them up, man, in that game during the week, this week. Colorado at Houston. Now, Houston's a big favorite here, projected favorite. Haven't seen a line come out on them yet, but we're talking about the high teens maybe. But Houston's on a 3-game losing streak. You concerned?
Yeah, I'm definitely concerned. I don't have many futures at all on Houston. I just feel like they just never can get the offense going at the right time. Too many lulls. Even with the Kingston Flemings, a potential top 10 NBA draft pick, Uzan, another good player. You get the great coach, the great defense, but too many lulls in the half court. They just can't get the job done. I don't know what that situation is there, but they did not look good at all against Kansas in the second half. I mean, that was a really surprising result in the second half where they just kind of let go of the rope there. All of a sudden, Kansas was up by 20 points. But I feel like this is going to be a come to Jesus moment here for Houston. They got to get it right, and they got to get it right quick. And what do? They rely on defense. So I'm going to look for a first half under. Maybe if we can get like 68.5, 69. I'm also going to look for a Colorado team total under. Based on the KenPom, this game was 16-144. maybe Colorado team total under is like 64 or something like that. You go under. I just feel like the defensive intensity has got to be there for Houston. Also, another point in this game, it's 11 a.m. local tip, so it's an early body clock game for Colorado. And I just feel like Colorado, off 2 good wins in a row over Okie State and Kansas State, not great teams, but good wins for Colorado program. Now you're coming to Houston. They got to have it. They got to change course here. I'm going to expect a big defensive effort by the Houston Cougars. I'm going to look for under first half and under Colorado team total.
All right, Chris, about 30 40 seconds on these, but I want to get to you because these lines are just trickling out. Arizona at home against Kansas, revenge spot again. That's when Peterson was out of that game. They won that. Fog Allen was jumping. It's 8.5. These are FanDuel that's trickling out these early. Arizona, 8.5 over Kansas.
Yeah, it'd be Arizona or pass, like you mentioned, revenge game. If Koa Pete plays, I'd definitely be on Arizona. If you look at Kansas, the last 6 games, win versus Arizona, loss versus Iowa State, win versus Okie State, loss versus Cincinnati, win versus Houston. So what does that mean? Probably sets them up for a loss. Maybe throw Arizona in money line parlay if you don't want to lay the big number, but definitely be Arizona or pass for me.
All right.
Pete did go back to practice yesterday along with Dwayne Aristode. Both of those players for Arizona practiced yesterday. Still not sure if they're going to play.
All right, St. John's in Villanova. St. John's at home, prime time, 7 o'clock. 8 Eastern, 7 o'clock our time here. St. John's, 7.5 is the line.
Yeah, that's crazy. Ken Palm had it at 146 and 7.5. That might be a little rich for my blood, but sometimes, like we've talked three weeks in a row now, when the number is too big, it looks too big for a reason. It means they're usually going to blow them out. Last 2 weeks, it has come to fruition. It would be St. John's or pass for me. That was an embarrassing performance, missing 27 straight shots, which is just insane to me for a team in the top 25 to miss 27 straight shots. I mean, it's not like UConn's the greatest defensive team this year as well. So that was strange, but it would be St. John's or pass for me. Villanova really not impressive. They have trouble scoring as well as they had trouble scoring against UConn last Saturday.
Florida has covered 11 of 14 in the league, including, man, they look like Texas was the right side for so long. And only two of the 3 that they did not cover is Kentucky, where they built a big lead and coasted, and South Carolina, the line was like 24 or something. Florida at home, the game day's there tomorrow, prime time tomorrow night. Florida, 9.5 is the opening line.
Yeah, when I saw this matchup, it just got me thinking, what a great Elite Eight game type of game this would be. You got high-flying Florida. Arkansas is high-flying as well. Both teams really go up and down the court. I really like this Darius Acuff kid, 22.2, 6.2 assists, 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. I like this game to go over. I don't want to lay the big number with Florida because I think you'll be able to get a better number in play. I figure Arkansas is going to definitely hang with them in the first half. You've seen Florida not always out to a big lead in the first half, but Todd Golden, I think, top 3 coach in the country. He makes the best adjustments. The other night, they're down 3. They were only laying 3 in the second half. I wish I had that for more money. I did have it a little bit. But, I mean, they just are so good in the second half. They consistently, if they're down at half, they always come back and win. Or he just makes the best adjustments to get Florida number 5 in Ken Palm, 13th in offense, 4th in defense. Arkansas, 4th in offense. So I think this game has a chance to go over. The one thing I'll give credit to Arkansas, they're number 1 in steals and number 1 or top 5 in turning you over. And Florida has some weak guards with Lee and Flynn. That might be one of the issues for Florida. But I can see this being an up and down, high-scoring game. I'm going to play the over, and I'm going to look to take Florida in play. Yeah, it is a high number. It is a high number. But I think with 2 great offenses, Arkansas playing a frantic pace, always going to turn the ball over, going to be a lot of steals in this game. Their defense is not great. The best offensive rebounding team in the country is Florida. Arkansas has trouble defending the 2-point basket around the rim. So it's a recipe for a lot of inside points for Florida and a lot of transition points for Arkansas. So I like the over.
Very good. We appreciate it, Chris. Good job. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you, buddy.
All right. Sounds great, guys. Have a great weekend.
All right. Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title, Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings. 296-0060. Full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional services, which you get with our long-standing staff. Our team, Ashley Donald, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, Mariana Haynes, Natalie and Bradford Smith, buying, building, refinancing. Nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Live at Rufino's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge. Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. Three best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
Troy, some of these lines are starting to trickle out for tomorrow's college basketball. But let's start for the first one tonight in Champaign. Big Ten doing a nice job of trickling out these nice matchups and these light cards. Last night, Michigan State at Purdue wins outright as 6.5-point underdogs. Tonight, it's Michigan going to Champaign to take on Illinois, slight favorite.
Yeah, this one is at Michigan minus 1.5, opened Michigan by a half point. Based off the betting, which is very strongly in Michigan's direction, similar to what we saw against Duke last week on a neutral court. And granted, Michigan going to hostile environment, I wouldn't be surprised if this gets up to 2.5, if not for just a short period of time. Even though this isn't a play I can have on the spread for this game, it's going to be a fantastic matchup. And both teams' weakness can be defense. Even though Michigan's got a really good interior. So, the play I like here is on the over. Open 155.5. That's where I got it. It's now at 157.5. Wouldn't be surprised if it moves up a little bit more. But I agree that the Big Ten has done a really good job, especially on Thursday nights, which is mostly West Coast games. And, there's without the Pac-12, there's not a ton of marquee West Coast games. So having a big 8 p.m. start in the Big Ten is certainly wet my palate.
Let me ask you one in your neck of the woods, and that's St. John's at Villanova. Villanova's getting a pretty good covering team on the road, so you can go with trends or you can take situational spots. I got to believe that Rick Pitino will have his team ready to play after that embarrassment this week up at UConn. It has opened up. It's a little bit rich, but St. John's 7.5 over Villanova. Spot player or trends guy?
A spot play. Yeah, I mean, this has to be. This is a bounce back of all bounce backs, right? And I really like Villanova. They're steady. They're a really good team. Probably the best team that hasn't been ranked in the top 25. They're around that Texas A&M level as well. I think they're actually better than a Clemson type, something like that. But because the Big East has been so thin, and obviously just UConn and St. John's, Villanova has kind of gotten left, with the rest of the group when they're clearly the third best team. Like there's a massive drop off after Villanova, but I think there is a bit of a gap between St. John's and Villanova. And you get this one back at home for St. John's. The fan base has been very up this year. 6.5 is a bit rich, but like if you think they're going to respond in a big way, and they have to after that. As bad as the first half was, the second half was even worse. If you're going to get 6.5, I wish it was 4.5, but like if you're going to get 6, like why not bump it up to 8.5 and really try to make some money? Because I think they could win by 15 or 20 just because. This is like Villanova's good, but if there's any spot to just take out all your anger on what happened, this is the game.
Troy, you're in the Big East country, and, man, I just, over the past few years when FS1 has picked up some of the Big East games, it's been really a lot of fun. But I'm really worried about your league right now. And when you're looking at Creighton, Marquette, Xavier, Butler, Providence, not even close to what they've been for the last 10, 15 years or so. The Georgetown-Marquette game, and that's your hometown team. It was less than 1,000 people at tip-off in the arena for that game as of late. Is this a conversation piece up in your area?
Yeah, all up and down the East Coast for college basketball people. And, yeah, like you mentioned, I grew up in this area. I'm a diehard Georgetown fan. I came from a Georgetown family. There was diehard Big East fans back, when it was at its peak. And I love this coverage. But I also said right around and carried water for it for the first year after they kind of moved to this Catholic 7 is that, they're going to regress to being more of a Atlantic 10 Mountain West type conference. With, certainly there were people who were quick to say that was false because, right around when they switched, we got UConn winning national championships, Villanova winning national championships. But, you can have a really great or really two great teams and still have a the back end of the power conference. I add the Mountain West and sometimes A10 to like power conferences, at least the top end of it. And people didn't want to hear that because it's a legacy brand. Some of the great players in basketball history have gone to Big East schools, but even if they start paying players better, like I think the coaching has declined. There's been a lot of retreads and older people when these schools like Butler and Xavier, the reason they got to the level is they were cradles of coaches. And I think we need to potentially get back to that. And, also a Villanova type has had to reboot, and I think they're going to be good for the next 10 years if Willard stays and doesn't piss off his fan base. But, there's a lot of depth issues, and visibility and money are key as, these conferences are getting to 16 teams, so you're going to have a litany of top 25 matchups. If you have a weak conference, you may only get one or two ranked matchups a year, and we have. And they've won games. St. John's, UConn at the Garden was amazing, and the other one, St. John's at Villanova or at UConn, was terrible. So, that's it. That's all we got. This is the third best game of the season, right? And we're in February.
It's just, look, man, Ed Cooley, he hadn't forgotten how to coach, okay? I mean, just that simple. I mean, he doesn't have the roster. I mean, he doesn't, he doesn't have the budget that some of these players do. I mean, Shaka Smart has refused to take on any transfers. Did not take any. I mean, this is Marquette's worst team in a long time. So it's the new era, and they don't have football money coming in. Some of these schools play football at a lower level, but it's a losing proposition.
I'm going to give it to you in black and white numbers. The last fiscal year, they reported the Big East schools gave out $59.8 million. That's total, okay? The SEC last year gave out over $72 million per school.
That's a revenue distribution.
Yeah, revenue distribution for the entire athletic department. But you get an idea of just what kind of gap you're talking about.
I was talking to some coaches, too. We were in the coaching search season, and everybody was trying to get to like McDermott. Like, no, you can go get him right now. The word is, no, get to the Big Ten or get to the SEC where their athletic department's got, a budget, for your players and stuff like that. I was like, man, these programs. So I've got I don't know, man, what's going to happen with the Big East. So look, Charles, I was at the Superdome, man, for that '82 final between Georgetown and North Carolina. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
My parents were there, and I actually they got 3 tickets, and one of them went unused, so I have the unused ticket from that game sitting in the glass box.
Troy, why'd they call me, huh? I mean, what are they doing, huh? I mean, I was 16 years old back then.
I think Troy had a dance recital that day.
Yes,
they were taking my brother was about a year and a half at that time, so they were a much needed vacation away from that maniac.
I mean, tension, like you feel that was my first Final Four, and like you go to that, like you're hooked. So here's some other games tomorrow, Troy. Kansas-Arizona line is out. Arizona is 8.5. We talked about St. John's, Villanova already. Florida-Arkansas. Florida is 9.5. They've covered 11 of 14 in the SEC. Any thoughts on those? And, of course, Michigan 1.5 over Illinois in Champaign tonight.
Yeah, there's one you didn't also mention, and that's Gonzaga at St. Mary's, one of the great rivalries. Gonzaga lost a road game at Portland, which rarely happens. Gonzaga's only 1.5-point favorite.
Right.
And St. Mary's is good, but they're not, they're not the quality of 2 years ago or so. But Gonzaga on the road a little lightly untrustworthy, but it's 1.5. I mean, I'd take that. Florida's back to being the best team in the SEC. They look like a national championship contender. I think a lot of people were quick to judge them early in the season when their transfer portal guards weren't playing well, and they were playing a really tough schedule. And they had the target on their back, but they have responded. Their roster is great. Chiney Liu is one of my favorite big men to watch in the country. 9.5 is a bit much, but it's really hard to not just trust what Florida's doing right now. And then I'm a bit surprised Kansas is plus 8.5. It seems a bit wide for me. I know, they had the last tough 2 games, but Arizona is banged up. De La Orsa rolled his ankle. Koa Pete, hopefully, is coming back, but we're not sure. Aristode is hopefully coming back, but we're not sure. Arizona is, tasted some defeats, so I think 8.5 is a bit much. But Kansas has been up and down, and we never know about Darren Peterson, so it's really tough to bet on that. But I just think I was surprised to see it 8.5. Ken Palm has it like 10. I was shocked by that, too. I figured this would have been 6.5.
Follow Troy on Twitter at Troy Macker. That's Machir. Troy, thank you so much, buddy. We'll talk to you on Monday.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you.
All right, don't forget our friends at Total Maintenance, one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating companies since 1980. You know, this time of the year is the best possible time to take advantage of the overstocked AC systems that need to be moved before it starts to get warm. That's right. Total Maintenance is offering up to $5,500 off select systems, as well as steep discounts on ductwork that you have to put in replacing these units. So your unit's over 10 years old. If it was serviced last summer, during those high stress hot months, now's the time to call up. Our technicians come over, evaluate your situation, give you your options, and weigh it out for you. But now is the time before it starts to get hot, and it's starting now. Call up at 480-1000 and take advantage of these discounts. Total Maintenance, one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC heating companies since 1980. My buddy Lucas Ragusa. Total Maintenance, 480-1000.
Live at Rufino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Otten Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, the show's available on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. New Handycast podcasts are up right now on YouTube. It's brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com, celebrating their 90th year in business here in 2026. Go to SupremeRice.com. Let me tell you about the disparity between the Big East payouts and the SEC payouts.
Well,
but the difference also in other Power 5 conferences, I don't know if it's as readily apparent. The SEC gave out this year, they just announced this not that long ago, $72.4 million apiece. The ACC gives an average of $45 million, and I say an average because it's not equally weighted the way it is in the Southeastern Conference. It's based on performance, television ratings, and other things.
It's tiered like the old
That's correct. Yeah. The Big 12 is even lower than that at $34.9 million per year. The Big 10 hasn't announced their 2025 fiscal year yet, but it's expected to be at $75 million, which is about $2 million away from what the SEC is. But that's more than double what the Big 12 is. It's significantly more than the ACC. The power conferences are not anywhere close to – I know everybody knows that, but when you put the numbers down and you actually look at it on paper, it's like, wow, that's a big gap.
But you got how much is devoted to college, to basketball, this where at a Villanova, it's your number one.
Yeah.
At a Marquette, it's your number one. It's Creighton, it's your number one, and it's just like I said, we knew that this was coming because the coaches were, it was a lot of Big East coaches were trying to get to Big Ten or the SEC schools, but Kentucky's going to give you more than say LSU, so.
You got to look at where, but if you got more money overall, the chances of you getting more money is a lot better. Hour number 2, straight ahead here at Rufino's. Bruce Marshall will be with us in hour number 2. Live at Rufino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
He's out there somewhere in the world. Maybe even your local sports book.
Can anybody help us?
Let's bring in Bruce Marshall.
And we welcome you back here live at lunch at Rufino's here this Friday in the Lenten season. The appetizer features include the eggplant Napoleon with the savory crawfish cream sauce, shrimp egg rolls with the Bang Bang sauce, fish chapatulas with the capellini. Fish chapatulas, you don't have to spell it, you just got to eat it. Seared ahi tuna with the pineapple glaze and the crawfish fried rice here. So if you're observing Lent, lots of options for you here today at Rufino's. Bruce, good afternoon. First of all, good morning where you are. And we sort of been waiting on your take just to kind of wrap up. We've been doing this all week with the U.S. hockey team, comparisons to 80, and if you got any comparisons back to Squaw Valley in 1960 and what we saw last week.
Yeah, and by the way, I can't believe Lane Kiffin didn't go up to Oxford to watch that basketball game this week. He would have gotten a very warm welcome, I'm sure.
They're waiting on him in September, believe me.
Yeah, it was really something. By the way, back to the real world down in the NHL. Mike Sullivan, gets the gold medal as the Olympic coach. He's lucky he didn't get fired by the Rangers this year. They've been such a disappointment. And I wonder if that Olympic job insulated him somewhat. They lost again in their comeback game from the Olympic break the other night, so we'll see about that. But no, the Olympics it was really something. I mean, the way they hung in there like that. I think Canada, Sidney Crosby's absence was a lot more profound, I think, than we thought at the time, because Canada started to kind of sputter once Crosby went out, and the way he, on the first power play line and getting the team organized and all. I mean, his presence really does seem to lift everybody else. And John Cooper just couldn't quite get his line combinations right. He kept mixing different lines up. The last 3 games, I mean, they could have lost to the Czechs, they could have lost to the Finns, they did lose to U.S. in overtime there. As it was, though, it took the ice was sort of tilted the last 2 periods. I mean, Canada was really coming at the U.S. and had a lot of chances. Hellebuck came up so big in goal. And there's another guy, though. Now he's back to real life. He's not having a good year in Winnipeg. He's not in the Vezina conversation, but he did get the big one there. And I think in overtime, I think we saw this through the knockout round there in the Sweden game too. The Hughes brothers, those are the sort of guys who really work in overtimes. Guys who are clever, who are quick, who will pass, but they're not reckless like that. I mean, I thought the other way, and I've thought this a few times about Connor McDavid, watching him in overtimes with Edmonton. He's a little bit too reckless. I mean, you just don't go in there, barrel in when the defense is sort of set for you there. And possession is everything in overtime. And he lost it a couple of times for Canada in that what ended up a short overtime period there. And the Americans just took advantage of it. So good for them. I mean, if they played that game 10 times, I think Canada probably wins 8. And I actually thought Finland was the best team I saw in the tournament. And the Americans got to break that catching Finland in the semis. If you look back, watch Finland against Canada. Watch U.S. against Canada. Finland looked really good. But it all doesn't matter because the U.S. team came up big. I think Hellebuck was just a star, though. I mean, what he did throughout the tournament there in goal. Like I said, they hadn't seen that this year in Winnipeg, but they sure saw it over there in Milan. He was fantastic.
Anything to the idea, we're not hockey purists, Bruce, but that in the future, a gold medal game, overtime, or even a medal round might be the full 5-on-5 for at least a certain amount of time before they go to 3-on-3, or is this the better format in your opinion?
It's a good question, Charlie. I'm not as much on the 3-on-3 even in the NHL. For years they didn't do 3-on-3. They didn't have overtime at all. They just do a 5-minute overtime and then it was 5-on-5, and then they started to make these adjustments with it. I think in the interest of TV, though, there's a certain time slot they've got to do, and there have been. Now, when the NHL gets to the playoffs, it's 5-on-5. There's none of this 3-on-3 baloney. There's no shootouts, and you can get 2-3 overtime games like every spring we get in the NHL playoffs. And in the Olympics, they can't, on the TV thing, they just can't afford to do that. You can't block out another 2-3 hours covering a game. So that's, I think, part of the reason why they adopt this thing. I mean, there's no chance a 3-on-3 is ever going to last 20 minutes. I mean, I know that's what they had for the final, and even the 10 minutes for the knockout rounds in the 3-on-3. It's 5 in the NHL, and usually the games are settled by then. But I think it's sort of TV. They got a time frame. They got to finish these things, and they want it done in a certain time, and they can't risk these Stanley Cup games that end up going that many overtimes. But that's a good point, though. Just go 5-on-5 for 10 minutes and then go to the shootout. I wouldn't argue with that at all.
Bruce, it was fun, though, huh? Watching it. I mean, we for us to enjoy it, I'm sure you enjoyed it off the charts, man.
Oh, it was good stuff. That whole tournament, the whole knockout round was great.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. Out here it was like 5 a.m. I was getting up, and by 7:30 a.m. the game was over here, and it's like my day's finished at 7:30 a.m. But it was good, good stuff. A tournament like that, like we said last week, it was like an NHL All-Star game, a super NHL All-Star game, divided up by countries. It was a super version of the Four Nations from last year, and the quality of play was just off the chart. One other note, no Russian players were there. I mean, if they get eligible again, if they behave themselves and they're back for 2030, then that tournament's going to get even better. I mean, there's a whole NHL All-Star team of players from Russia, too.
Where would you put Russia? On level of Sweden and Finland, a little bit above, a little bit below?
No, they're very close. In fact, USA is right with Sweden and Finland. And Canada's still the best team.
Okay.
I know US won. Canada's still the best team.
Right.
But US, Sweden, Finland, Russia, Czechs, throw them all in the mixer. And US maybe a little bit above, but not much. But, I mean, it's such good hockey when they all get together. And that's one thing. Hockey all-star games like this, they rarely disappoint the good players together, and they certainly didn't disappoint in Milan.
Now you said like an all-star game. Now, Bruce, I've seen some all-star games at 13, 11, stuff like that. I mean, you talk about just the players, the elite players of the world all on the ice. And I think it was Eddie Olchuk at the first intermission, like, man, this level of play and this speed is unbelievable. This you don't see this in an NHL, even a Stanley Cup. I mean, playing the best players in the world on the same ice, but really competing at a high level as well.
Well, I'm going to recreate it. Well, I should have qualified that. It was like the Four Nations was last year. I mean, that was high level.
Yeah.
That was pretty similar. And you have to sort of divide it up like that and make some incentive with it in the country versus country. And that is when you put the country's name on a shirt. And unlike the NBA, it just says world. If you put a country name on there, then that adds something to it. But you're right. The NHL All-Star Game it was the hockey version of the NBA All-Star Game a few years ago, and they started to even make some adjustments with that, and they realized this isn't going to work. But the international format, brings out the best in the players, like they can in some of these Olympic tournaments. And we hadn't seen the NHL guys in the Olympics since 2014. So we missed that the last two Olympics. But that was really cool to see it again the last couple of weeks.
So how often, I'm sorry, but how often are we doing this Four Nations deal? Is that the All-Star game every year now? Is that how often are we doing this?
I think I think they're planning to do it again next year, but I'm not sure. I know it's on the dock again coming up, and I'm not sure if it's next year or the following year. But it is, I think it was such a hit. I mean, it's going to be, it's going to come back. I mean, it was good stuff.
Okay, to the defense of the basketball team, and it's hard for me to do for the NBA, but they're trying in the Olympics. It's not the All-Star game. We saw an improvement in the All-Star game this year with the format. But in the Olympics, I mean, I see the Americans trying, so, I mean, competing as the rest of the world is kind of caught up a little bit. I mean, as trying to be fair here. I mean,
high 30 guys. LeBron, Durant, Steph Curry. Those guys were all in their high 30s. They were all trying.
You telling me Anthony Edwards wasn't?
No, he was. I'm just saying that these are older guys that don't have anything left to prove. Durant and James have multiple gold medals. They went back. Okay, now it was Curry's first because of circumstances.
I don't know anybody on that roster that wasn't.
No, they all were. I'm
competing.
saying that the young guys all want to do it the first time. To get them to come back is hard. To get them to come back a second and third time is very hard.
When you play a game, when you play a game and it says USA on your shirt, there's a big difference between playing a game where it says Western Conference on your shirt.
Or Team LeBron or some bull BS.
Yeah, or Team LeBron or Team Giannis. I mean, it's big difference. So that's and the NBA's they're trying. So that was an improvement this year. That's for sure.
No, Charlie, I'm saying what player has ever been invited on that Olympic team? They have to try out that you don't think that was putting out.
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying it's hard to get. There were guys that, for instance, about half of the original Dream Team didn't come back in '96. Now, a couple of those guys had aged out, but a couple of them just didn't want to play. Jordan didn't want to play again. David Robinson did come back and play. Tim Duncan played once and said, I'm
Okay.
done. You know, so there've been a few.
Okay,
but,
you
but
saw-
when you're 37, 38 years old, and you got to go back.
So
and
participation is not quite. I don't know.
And
They had the stars last time.
No, they absolutely.
Curry, Durant,
You remember
LeBron,
the team that they didn't have in 04? They didn't. They had a lot of young guys. LeBron was young.
Yeah, that's a long time ago, man.
I know. Well,
Bruce.
the Redeem team coming back in 08 turned it around. When Kobe played, when Kobe almost
I do
killed
remember
Paul
that
Gasol.
because Colangelo got involved.
Yeah, Derek Colangelo got involved.
Yes.
Kobe was on that team, and it was like, we're going to win.
You're dating back.
Yeah,
I'm thinking more recently. Okay. Brucey, what about that? We got St. John's Villanova. Did you see St. John's shooting down the stretch against UConn this week?
Yes, I did, and it reminds you guys are going to laugh. My very first high school basketball game, I was 0 for 17 from the floor, so it brought back memories. They outdid me, so I've been waiting 50-some years for somebody to be worse than me, and St. John's was it.
Bruce, you have to be really good to let them you get to take that many shots and miss them all. They must have thought a lot of your potential.
You sitting on the bench, Bruce.
Well,
I'm coaching. I'm sorry.
Starting pitcher for the Cubs that lost like 18 decisions in a row.
Anthony Young, Charlie.
Like, oh, man, they keep putting him out there. He's got to be good. Well, he keeps losing. Okay.
I did have 17 rebounds in that game, though. So it's
all right.
The right word.
The rest of the story.
That
Okay.
line wasn't totally empty. So there you go.
Defensive stop. Got it.
But I never. I mean, it was just. You know what it reminded me of a little bit. You remember 2 years ago in that the Elite Eight when all of a sudden Illinois couldn't make a shot against UConn, and sometimes UConn can get in your head like that, and then you just get flustered, and one bad thing leads to another, and that was really bad. I wonder when you have a loss like that, though, psychologically, I wonder what the impact is going to be. Sometimes you know the catastrophic loss like that is hard to bounce back from. I'll be interested to see how St. John's looks coming up here, and it was sort of a reminder not to forget about Danny Hurley and UConn in the dance coming up. If they can unfurl an effort like that, that is putting everyone on notice. They're not going anywhere.
St. John's 7.5-point favorites tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central tip in the Garden against Villanova, who's clearly the third best team in that Big East. We talked about the Big East earlier, wondering about just worry about the state of the league, man. As you know, it's becoming more and more money. You know, your player budget, your player salary budgets in these. Creighton, Marquette, Xavier, Butler, Providence, not close to what they've been in just the past few years. You just wondered about the direction of that league. But you know, I'll take your Illinois struggling offensively against UConn, and I'll raise you that Final Four game where Houston against Baylor. And do they have like 9 points in the first half, something like that? This was a Houston team that had more firepower on offense.
Yeah.
In Flemings, who's a projected lottery pick and just offensive player, but not quite as suffocating on defense. I'm seeing some of these offensive struggles in this little 3-game losing streak. It's just a little bump in the road or something to be concerned about as we get closer to the tournament.
I think they got to be a little bit concerned because the defense, the thought from the Big 12 is this defense is a wee bit down from where it was, but you look at the national stats, not really. They're, second in scoring defense, 62 per game. But offensively, they don't. And Flemings, I wonder if he's going to start hitting the proverbial freshman wall here late in the season. I mean, a lot of their, the offense this year, a lot of it came from him and the extra dimension he seemed to add. But I'm just not sure. I mean, I've watched, the Iowa State game recently and these other recent losses, and just down the stretch, they're just not able to manufacture points. That's got to be a concern for Kelvin Sampson. A month ago or so, I thought this team looks like it is going to get back to the Final Four. I am not so sure about that right now.
Miami O's in action tonight. We got a good one in the Big Ten. Michigan at Illinois, laying 1.5 there, and some other mid-majors tonight. Anything that sticks out to you on tonight's college basketball menu?
Yeah, that Michigan-Illinois, obviously the highlight game here tonight. You got Illinois had a week to stew over that loss to UCLA and watch Donovan Dent imitate Tyus Edney from 31 years ago against Missouri in the
no
second
kidding.
round, coast to coast, and they had a 23-point lead in that game. But I also thought, Michigan in the last week. Now they did bounce back and beat Minnesota, not easily this week. That was a kind of a struggle against Minnesota, and Minnesota well inside the point spread. But the Duke game last week, I know Duke is really good, but all of a sudden, some vulnerability I thought might have popped up for Michigan there. And there have been some people who've been saying all year, we're not so sure about this Michigan backcourt. We know their front line is as good as any in the country, but what about these guards? I was never a big Purdue fan at North Carolina, and some of these others, and Gale and the others coming in, that might, that they came up short against Duke, and that's got to be a little concern for Dusty May moving forward. I don't know that they win this game tonight. I think Illinois might get them. Illinois they've lost 3 of 5, 2 of the games in overtime, but it's been a tough schedule stretch, and they've had some really good spots of basketball there. The first half against UCLA was great. USC destroyed. Indiana destroyed. I think Illinois gets them tonight. Miami, I picked against them a few times in the MAC because they have had a few close calls. I'm not sure tonight's going to be one of those. Western Michigan is well down in the bottom of the loop. These guys just keep on winning, and one of these days maybe Joe Lenardi will put him as a lock for the tournament, but they're still looking at that overall schedule for Miami. I hope they make the dance, but because they're fun to watch. But we've got a 11.5-point spread, not so huge tonight. Maybe they can handle that. There is one in the Ivy League I'm looking at. There's actually a couple. Harvard tonight is at Princeton. This is not a vintage Princeton team. Mitch Henderson, they never talk about the portal taking the star away. Xavier Lee leaving Princeton, going down to Florida. He's the Ivy League Player of the Year. They just have not been able to replace him, and they're really struggling. And Amaker's got a pretty decent team. Hinton, the young guard out of L.A., is putting up some big numbers. It's a short price at the Jadwin Gym, so I will take Harvard there. One other one tonight, and real quick story. You're going to be Cornell fans when I tell you this story. They're playing Yale. And Yale looks like the team to beat in the Ivy. They've had a great season. They blew out Cornell the first time. But Cornell is kind of feisty here, and they're scoring almost 90 points per game. And they are fighting to get into the Ivy tournament, which is played on their home court in Ithaca in a couple weeks. So they're still fighting to get in that. The coach of the team is named John Jakes. You remember he was played for Cornell when they actually made the dance about 15 or so years ago for Steve Donahue. Well, I grew up friend of his dad, Doug Jakes, who went to Stanford, and Doug had a younger brother, unfortunately, who came afflicted with leukemia and passed away as a teenager. Really sad. Name is John. So when Doug had a son, firstborn son, he named him after his late brother, and this is John Jakes. So I always kind of cheer for Cornell because of the Jakes story, and he has done a really good job. This team is fun to watch. Can they get Yale tonight? I think they might. Yale has had some really close calls here lately. They're getting some points with Cornell at home. This might be a fun one in the Ivy tonight because Cornell loves to get up and down the court. And that, I think, is on one of the ESPN channels, so you can watch.
Yes, indeed. We appreciate it, man. Great stuff as always. We will talk to you next week. Good luck to you this weekend, Bruce.
You too, boys. Thank you.
All right, don't forget our friends at United Community Bank. Your business is our business. We support the hardworking folks behind local business, all the way from initial startup loans to ongoing planning and assessments. We're at United Community Bank. We're here for you. Contact our great team of bankers, Prentice Wilkes, Heath Meir, Nicole Glover, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, David Henry, and discuss how we can help your business today. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Live at Rufino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Back here at Rufino's live at lunch. LSU baseball 4-game wraparound series. Dartmouth and Northeastern, 6:30 tonight, 2 o'clock tomorrow, 1 o'clock Sunday, 6:30 on Monday night. Not going to tell you that the level of competition is huge this week. So some of the things that I'm looking for this weekend, first of all, for the 3 starting pitchers for Case and Evans, you're looking for him to get a little bit deeper into games. The first outing was a little bit rocky. The second one was better, had one bad inning. You'd like to see him extend. I'd like to see him get to 100 pitches. That's usually a pretty good benchmark for week 3. We're 2 weeks away from the start of SEC play. 2 weeks from tonight, it'll be an SEC game against Vanderbilt. So like to see him get a little bit deeper into the game. Not much not to like out of what we've seen from Cooper Moore so far. 17 strikeouts and only 1 walk. I thought he did a nice job in both of those first 2 weeks. He's the transfer from Kansas. He's used to starting on weekends. He'll be used to starting in conference play. Another outing to build on one of the first 2 would be just fine this weekend. And then William Schmidt, I thought, took a real jump last week. Up at 91 pitches, but through the 5 innings, the walk total came down. The strikeout total has always been up there, but the walk total only 1 last week. That's a lot better. I'd like to see him take that next step and climb up again. 100 pitches is a really nice benchmark to shoot for in week number 3. I'd like to see Schmidt go out and build on those first 2 outings. I thought he was better in week 2 than he was in week 1. I'd like to see him better in week 3 than he was in week 2. And for the bullpen, and this is kind of a blanket statement, throw strikes. Right now as a staff, they're walking about 1 every other inning. That's way too many. You throw in 15 hit batters in 75 innings, and you're talking about 52 free passes in 75 innings. And against this level, against anybody, that's way too many. Against this level of competition, a little bit alarming. Big strikeout totals, okay? They're 118 in 75 innings. Take that number every day, but that's way too many free bases, and I know that's something that concerns Jay Johnson. Frankly, it's what cost him the game on Monday night against McNeese. So the walk totals come down. They hit their way on. That's one thing. Too many free passes. Like to see that number come down. We will not see a Chris Stanfield for 1 more weekend at least. Johnson, I think, trying to read between the lines here. If this was an SEC weekend or if this was a regional weekend, Stanfield could probably go. At this point in the season, there's no reason to risk him. Rest him for another weekend, and hopefully he'll get back, certainly for the start of conference play, but maybe next week as well. And that'll open up, again, the time out in left field. For a couple of different players. Tanner Reeves is certainly one that you're going to get some time out there with him out, and we'll see what else that they do. Braden Simpson is going to be. I think that bat's going to be in the lineup somewhere most of the season. Seth Dardar kind of clamping down on second base here for the first 8 games of the season, 9 games of the season. He's really done a good job, but I think there's at bats for Simpson that, for the moment, is going to be probably in left field. When Stanfield gets back, we'll see how they shuffle a deck a little bit. I think Reeves has got to pick it up a little bit more once they get into conference play to keep these at bats going. I do think also that we're settling in. This is not going to be every game, but really like the DH. I'm going to call it a platoon for right now between John Pearson and Mason Braun. That gives you a nice righty-lefty combination here. Both of these guys have got some pop in the bat. Both of these guys are over 400 through the first 9 games of the season. So I think you'll see both of those kids continue to get some time. Pearson may play a little bit at third, and Braun may get some time outside of DH, either in the outfield or at first base occasionally. But mostly this is going to be a DH for right now. So far, both of those guys are hitting. So those are some of the things that we'd like to see over the weekend. Again, 6:30 tonight, 2 o'clock Saturday, 1 o'clock on Sunday, and 6:30 on Monday. 5 games in 6 days. They go to Lafayette next week to play the Raging Cajuns on Wednesday night. So
attacking the zone, Charlie. Attacking the zone.
Pound the strike zone. Too many free passes through the first couple of weeks of this season.
Thing you looking moving forward with this pitching staff?
Yeah. That's my biggest concern right now is they have, again, the stuff is there. When you see those high strikeout totals, even against competition at this level, you know that the stuff is there. And we've seen a lot of these guys do it against SEC competition in Omaha. So I'm not worried about that. The command. I'd like to see it be a little bit better this weekend, certainly better than it was on Monday night.
You in town for the baseball games or in town, period? Staying downtown? Hey, looking for a quick bite to eat? Check out our friends at Town Square Pizza, downtown on North, facing Town Square. You can build your own pizza. You can start off with a different crust. You can do regular or gluten-free crust, different sauces, red sauce, garlic cream, or olive oil, different cheeses, mozzarella, parmesan, blue cheese, goat cheese, or dairy-free mozzarella, different proteins from pepperoni, bacon, chicken. You get the deal. All the veggies. Create your own pizza. Or you can do our specialty pizzas. Man, it's quick, it's piping hot, it's fresh. It's Town Square Pizza. And they all face the Town Square. Do some salads as well and get you a cold beverage. And you can eat outside in these pleasant spring-type temperatures that we have in South Louisiana right now. It's Town Square Pizza. Where? Downtown on North, facing Town Square.
Live at Rufino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Otten Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Let's head up to all the snow up in New York. Our buddy Ace Seminara, veteran sports handicapper. Ace, you staying away from that snow? I know we checked on you earlier, but the things starting to clear out a little bit.
Thank goodness it is. I mean, unseasonably warm, 40-degree day today, and let that stuff just melt and go away. Don't want to see any more of it.
Let's get right to it tonight. You know, the Big Ten has been pretty good to us on these light schedules the last two nights. Gave us Michigan State and Purdue. Sparty hangs on to win outright as a 6.5-point dog. That's where it closed. And now we got Illinois in Michigan. This one's in Champaign. Wolverines, slight 1.5-point favorites on the road.
Yeah, you know, Jimmy, I am kind of dating myself, but I can remember being in this business so long where Friday nights was simply Ivy League and NBA.
Yes.
So, yeah, to get a treat like this, a Big Ten matchup, number 3 at number 10, and Michigan, it just seems like they're playing big games every night. But, you know, when they had that out-of-conference game against Duke last week, I was completely shocked at how they got out-muscled in that game. 41-21, 8 on rebounding by Duke, outscored them by 10 points in the paint, and really more so than that, now, they came back with a ho-hum win against Minnesota the other day, Tuesday, literally sleepwalking through the game. But I was shocked at how Duke just threw a simple zone at them, Jimmy, and they forced Michigan into it looked like just perimeter passing, couldn't flash somebody to the free throw line, maybe catching somebody on alley-oop or swinging it back out to the wing for a three. They settled for 25 three-pointers and made 6 of them. Now, Duke's defense, obviously, incredible defense, one of the top, the number 1 ranked efficient defense in the country. Tonight, contrast in styles. Illinois, number 1 offensive efficiency in KenPom against Michigan, number 2 defensive efficiency. Illinois lost to UCLA. Tough game there, letting their guard go the length of the court there. They blew a 23-point lead. Only 4-3 in their last 7 games. All of those losses, Jimmy, have come in overtime. At Michigan State, home against Wisconsin, and then again last Saturday at UCLA. I would totally expect for Coach Underwood, who used to be a defensive genius when he was at Stephen F. Austin. Now Illinois obviously is an offensive team right now, and they can score the ball with anybody. But I would certainly expect, off of seeing what happened in Michigan and their difficulty with handling the zone, that I would certainly expect them to throw a zone at them there and force them to have to shoot it from 3. They're going to go in low to their big guys. It's going to be difficult for them to score, I think. I'm really not liking the way Michigan played there. And then again, sleepwalking through that Minnesota game, I would certainly expect Champaign, Illinois to be absolutely revved up tonight and Illinois to win this game. I'm going to grab that 1.5 points as a home underdog and give me the points at home with the Fighting Illini.
All right, give the Illini the home dog tonight in the big one in the Big Ten. You know, Virginia and Duke. Duke at home tomorrow. We're seeing anywhere from 9.5 to 10.5 on these lines that are floating out right now at different mobile sites. Boy, you look at this thing, just one game separates them in the ACC standings, and you know what, man? Boy, the statistical comparisons, 15 games in, conference games in as well, are eerily close. I mean, the exact same amount of assists per game, the exact amount of turnovers per game, these teams. So, of course, assist-to-turnover ratio is the same. Points scored per game. I mean, field goal percentage, three-point percentage, rebounds per game. I mean, it is unbelievable how much closer the statistical breakdown, at least on paper, this is between these two teams. Ryan Odom, the son of Dave Odom, who coached at South Carolina and Wake Forest. Boy, took over a program that had a late change last year when Tony Bennett stepped aside, but man, took over a program that had a losing season last year. They are on fire, man, creeping at the top 10. Good one in the ACC. Duke 9.5 to 10.5 over the Cavaliers.
Great way to start off your day early tomorrow with one of the early set of games. Virginia at number 11 in the country, as you mentioned, just outside the top 10. And Duke, deservedly so, back to number 1. Hadn't been number 1 all season long. They got the best player in the country. All right, Cameron Boozer is going to win the Player of the Year, absolutely. With his performance last week against Michigan, I think it solidifies that absolutely. You know, number 3 on defense, Duke, as far as points against, 62.9 points. You know, they're as good as it gets on defense. They absolutely dismantled Notre Dame on Tuesday, beating them by 44 points. The worst home loss in Notre Dame's history. I mean, their last loss to Duke was against Carolina. Same for Virginia. They lost 10 games ago against Carolina. As you mentioned about their numbers being really, really close, very impressed with Virginia. That blowout the other day against NC State, that game after a while just started getting into, a ridiculous stage where they ended up winning by 29. At some point, you just got to maybe just start taking it down low. I don't know what NC State was doing. The big guys down low, Grunlow and Anyusa, who comes off the bench, 2 7-footers for Virginia, combined for 12 blocks in the game. I mean, I don't know. You keep walking down the street and getting yourself beat up. Jimmy, don't you maybe take a different way to school the next day? I didn't really understand their philosophy. Keep driving it in there, keep getting the guy blocked away, and then keep walking away with no points scored. It made absolutely zero sense. Before I get to the last game, Jimmy, if I may, I'd like to offer a free texting service to all your loyal listeners. Got a bunch of good guys down there, and would love nothing better than to help them out the rest of the way. Just text the words free picks to 631-805-6165, and you'll receive my top-rated daily free picks. I'm in my office super early every day breaking down numbers. Nobody watches more games or retapes and then rewatches games again more than I do, other than maybe John Rothstein on CBS Sports. Absolutely value his opinion tremendously. I used to see him at Iona games, Stony Brook games all the time. Anyway, again, text the words free picks, 631-805-6165. You'll receive my top-rated free picks. No questions asked, no pressure whatsoever. Feel what it feels like to get information from a professional who's been doing this for 40 years. And let me teach you what it takes to win during the tournament, because it's certainly different than playing games during the regular season. As we're about to head into conference tournaments, neutral site games, and the lines are going to be greatly affected because of that, Jimmy.
All right, 631-805-6165. Arizona against Kansas. Revenge spot. Remember that big Monday spot where, again, and we'll sell pretty good in that spot, but also, Peterson was out for that game, and it was an inspired effort, inspired Flau'Jae. Now Arizona is dealing with their own player availabilities right now. Charlie, give us an update again on Koa Pete and them. They've been out for a little bit.
Yesterday, the Arizona Daily Star reported that Koa Pete and Dwayne Aristode were going to return to practice yesterday afternoon. It's not clear if either one of them are going to play Saturday. They're calling Pete questionable right now. Tommy Lloyd, I don't think he's going to say anything today about how that practice went, but they were supposed to go back to practice yesterday.
Without them, they went to Houston and beat the Cougars and jumped on pretty much cake to water in that. You say big deal about their win in Waco against Baylor. About as good as Baylor's played for 35 minutes in that one. I mean, Baylor really gave them all they could, and still Arizona wins in that one. Now they come back home. This line is out now for tomorrow's game. Ace, the Wildcats are 8.5 at home in Tucson.
Yeah, I had that line at 6.5. When I saw 8.5, first thing it told me is that the odds makers, I think, have this line correct. They're looking for people to get on Kansas because they know they're going to get an influx of money from Arizona. They had as impressive of a game as possible, beating Houston last Saturday, absolutely dismantling them, taking them completely out of their offense, exposed their weakness of scoring down low, and then went to Baylor. And yes, as you mentioned, not an easy place to play at Baylor, and they gave them all they could handle, but at the end, just too much depth there from Arizona. I absolutely love that point guard, Bradley. Just runs the team like a true point guard. He's not looking to score first. He has no problem in dishing the ball to Del Orso, who's been playing lights out. You know, Burries, who had a tough stretch there with a flu bug there hitting him and kind of draining him of his strength, you know, he's a guy that could lead them in scoring. And then you got Krivas and Awaka down low, not to mention Karachkov, who's coming off the bench and looks like a defensive whiz. He'll pick your pocket. You know, I just think that right now Arizona might be playing better than any team in the country. Certainly don't underestimate Kansas. I think everybody did that a while back. You know, but with their win against Houston, you see what they're able to do right now. Trey White hitting threes, helping Peterson. It seems like he's now playing a lot more minutes. Melvin Council, I got to give him his kudos. Early in the season, I thought Melvin Council was having a little bit of an issue making the adjustment there, but he's absolutely leading them like the senior that he is. And, you know, Kansas right now playing solid. Bill Self is a great, great coach. But I think if there's any little bit of a letdown, it's going to be Kansas having a letdown with that game. Just too many games, too much pressure on Peterson, getting asked questions constantly about his minutes over and over and over. Go into Arizona now against a very deep team, a very good team defensively. Coach Lloyd absolutely right now has them playing the best ball, I think, in the country. Duke's playing great. I would put Arizona right above them. Lay the 8.5 points. To me, it looks like one of those lines where Vegas wants you to bet Kansas. I'm not going to take that bait. Give me the Wildcats at home. I'll lay the 8.5 and watch them win going away.
Illinois, Virginia, and Arizona. Ace is on with us a couple of times a week, but if you want his picks, just simply text him free picks. Text free picks at 631-805-6165. Ace, we appreciate it, man. Good luck to you this weekend. We'll talk to you on Tuesday.
You as well, Jimmy. Good luck to all your listeners out there.
All right.
And we're brought to you by the Thibodeau Store, the Pierre Part Store, now open in LaRose and Lockport. You know, if you're going out tailgating, you need your outdoor cooking equipment, your home, or you're going out tailgating, over to the Thibodeau Store and the Pierre Port Store. Crawfish pots, jambalaya pots, grills, griddles, something for your home. The Big Green Egg cookers are available, and all the accessories. You've heard Jimmy talk about them a number of times that he uses at his home with the Big Green Egg cook because he's a better cook than me. You can get them at the Thibodeau Store or the Pierre Port Store. Go online, thethibodeaustore.com. You can get to all 4 properties. Same-day pickup available on everything on the website. Channel lock tools right now on special on the website. And delivery is available on a lot of these items, including lumber, out of the Pierre Port Store. If you are doing some home improvements, let their experts help you out so you're not wasting time and money. The Thibodeau Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau. Pierre Port Store, Highway 70 in Pierre Port. Now open in LaRose and Lockport, too. The Thibodeau Store. Live at Rufino's. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Otterlocks, let's have it.
All right, St. John's line has moved from 7.5 to 5.5. Give me the Johnnies and a bounce back. Rick Pitino has the ear of his team after that miserable finish.
17.5 minutes without a bucket.
Yes, indeed. 0 for 27 from the field to finish the game. Tennessee and Alabama, you know, we talked about Alabama a lot, you know, if they're a threat, you know, and Tennessee about if they are a threat. Give me the home team here, Charlie. Tennessee minus 4.5 against the Crimson Tide. In line. These lines are coming out. Kentucky, we saw one line come out that Vanderbilt was 1.5. That Kentucky was 1.5. Now we're seeing that Vanderbilt is 1.5. Revenge. Talk about revenge. Does it mean anything? Well, it meant something for UConn against St. John's. They flipped that around. How about Gonzaga's against Portland State? That's revenge, and then there's getting beat by 25 revenge for Kentucky. They were destroyed in Nashville first time around. Pope and his crew at home, plus the 1.5 at Rupp. Clemson and Louisville, home dog here. This line is out. Louisville's a 1.5-point favorite at Clemson. Give me the Tigers to bounce back at Little John against the Louisville Cardinals. And then, Charlie, you know, we talked about the Big 12 and the Big 12 standings. You know, 2-game lead for the Arizona Wildcats. They're 13-2, a 4-team logjam. After that, at 11-4, 2 games back. Kansas, Iowa State, Houston, who's lost 3 in a row, and Texas Tech. BYU is 8-7. Central Florida is actually ahead of them in the polls after they went and beat BYU in Provo. Now BYU goes to Morgantown, West Virginia. We all love DeBonta, but without Saunders, it's a tricky spot there. Give me the Mountaineers in plus 1.5 at home against the BYU Cougars tomorrow.
All right, St. John's minus 5.5, Tennessee minus 4.5, Kentucky plus 1.5, Clemson plus 1.5, West Virginia plus 1.5. Ace Seminary gave us Illinois plus 1.5. Duke minus
Virginia.
I'm sorry, Virginia plus the 8. We're saying 8.5?
9.5 or 10.5.
Okay,
it's
9.5. Yeah. Okay. Virginia and Arizona minus the 8.5 in the late game tomorrow night against Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Peterson gonna play the whole game?
I think. I mean, I the way he handled it, watching his body language, had some bad calls against him. How he handled that, his interaction with self. It's almost as if he and his camp have heard the noise.
Had a heart-to-heart talks, maybe. Somebody did.
I mean,
somebody got their message through. Maybe it was Self.
Read the freaking room, man.
Self said it in a press conference. You know, he's not hiding it. He wasn't belligerent about it, but he was firm.
I think they may have heard, some other people talking, draft people talking, to some, like Bill Simmons, a podcast. No, some NBA people are talking about it now. I think that resonates more than with, the concerns from the NBA side. No, as college coach, they, what do you expect out of his college coach? I think maybe they've heard it from the NBA side.
I think you're right, and it runs counter for me because if you don't want to listen to Bill Self, that bothers me. I'm happy that he gets the reinforcement from his agents or from the NBA. If you had a losing coach or you had a coach that you didn't try, it's Bill Self, man. I don't know that to me that ought to be somebody you ought to listen to.
Sometimes college coaches can be
selfish.
Well, yeah, selfish in their methods, and these people have nothing at stake here. The NBA people. As far as so, I think he's gotten it from that. And another one, Charlie, total. This Gonzaga St. Mary's, it's much easier to slow down an opponent, tend to speed them up. St. Mary's wants to slow it down. That total is 143.5. Go under.
Thanks to Rufinos. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.